Hi, I'm Brooke, an Ethiopian who lives in Belfast, Northern Ireland. I've been running my own market garden for the past 3 seasons, and before that I've been gardening for 4 years at my house. Hahu is the first 2 letters of the Amharic alphabet, and they indicate ABC, so that's going back to the basics and also simplicity. This was inspired by how simple I find the whole garden experience. It might be overwhelming, it might be sometimes daunting to start a garden with so many unknowns, with so much options at our hands and so many ways to do it. But the basic point is very simple. Seeds, water, soil would make you a good gardener. So this year I'm inspired to start a new gardening channel, and with that a new fresh start in this garden you can see behind me with some friends of mine who are already flower growers. But more on that later on. Let me tell you about my gardening journey. So in 2017 I started gardening at my own backyard, which was a small space and it was covered in grass or lawn. I started on pots and bigger pots and a piece of land, and then in 2018 I brought in some horse manure to cover the lawn with cardboard and start from fresh no-dig method. And that year was so productive, and I carried on gardening 2 more years. And 2020, this beautiful wall garden in Helens Bay came for a lease. So I thought maybe I'll try to do some market gardening and started my market gardening journey from there. So in the wall garden, the concept was to start a CSA veg box scheme. That's community supported agriculture, and a veg box scheme based on subscriptions where my customers subscribe and I'll supply veggies on contractual basis. So that was 40 boxes every week and for 20 weeks throughout the growing season. We also hosted some farm shops, and at our farm shops many people would come to buy their weekly veggies, but the concept was that the farm shop was held at the garden itself, which meant my customers were able to walk around the garden and see how their food was growing. I joined the wall garden in 2020, that's lockdown year. And in that year, I was allowed to travel to do my work because it was essential and farming work. And also many people were able to come and volunteer for me, which was an added advantage. For them, it was an outing, and for me, my job was done. And I have made so many great friends through that. From then, I started to teach gardening for primary school children, which was inspiring by itself. This school has its own raised bed for each classroom, and each classroom will learn planning, sowing, planting, harvesting, and using their different types of vegetables. The kids were inspiring. The kids were much involved in most of the jobs and excited to be there. This year I'm inspired to start from scratch to show how the no-dig gardening can be done and how productive it is, how simple it is, and how it can easily be adapted to any location. So I'll have 3 different areas to cover. So the first part is this land you see behind me, which is under grass at the moment. So we're going to start a no-dig vegetable garden, a small garden to show people how it is done in allotments or a small backyard. To establish the no-dig garden, we're going to install some greenhouses to extend the season and polytunnels for our tomatoes, cucumbers, and heat-loving plants. And the rest of the land will be converted with compost and cardboard into a growing bed. There will be no digging involved in this process. The second part is my backyard at home. So that is at a mess state at the moment, but we're going to refresh it. We're going to put a new more compost on it, and we're going to plant on it. It's a shaded area covered in trees, so it will show people what can be done at backyards which tend to have a low sunlight. There are plants we can plant there, and there's a good amount of food that can be produced and a good gardening activity that can be experienced there. The third ground is a school growing ground, so I'm still teaching in that school and we're planning, and at the moment we're going to start to planting our beds. So the beds are already prepared. We have put our compost on the raised bed. So from now on it's planting and sowing. So I'll follow that one as well and show you how much can be produced and what we can teach our kids. The general idea of the business is also to run workshops, so teaching workshops and also hands-on experience hands-on practical sessions for different groups of people who would like to come and experience the Nordic gardening. So this channel is not only going to be dedicated to vegetable gardening, so we try to see other growers. When there is a flower farm here, we see how we can do some flower farming a little bit, cut flowers. We also going to travel around and see some other regenerative practices that are practiced within Northern Ireland. I hope you enjoy this YouTube channel and share it with your friends and family so that we can grow together and see what we can do and what we can achieve. Thank you.